Good morning. I just finished canning 7 quarts of chicken bone broth. I wanted to get out of the kitchen. I think Morgan's cooking today, so I wanted to get in and out of the kitchen, and now I'm getting ready to go out and see what the garden looks like. I haven't been able to spend too much time in the last couple days out there. I do know that we have a big problem with Japanese beetles. I've been picking off probably 50 to 75 off my beans. They've been going after my beans. I didn't even know I had beans. I saw a bunch of buds, and then last night I noticed beans. So I got to harvest some beans today and see if I have enough to can or what I'm going to do with them. I probably have like another 4 weeks on waiting for my freeze dryer to get here. I'm really looking forward to the opportunities for storing food once that shows up. Been picking berries this week, and not enough to can, not enough to make any type of jellies or anything, but been flash freezing and put them in the freezer, hoping that's gonna work out, whether I freeze dry them, end up freeze drying them, or making jellies. But we'll go see what's going on out in the garden this week. This is the space that's right beside the house that I didn't know what to do with. So last year I had planted little ornamental pumpkins, and they seemed to do really well, but I didn't do anything with them. I think we ended up throwing most of them in the compost pile. I didn't know what to do with them. Normally, if I was still living in New Hampshire, they would have ended up on the tables at church, set up in the fellowship hall area as decorations for fall harvest, but I didn't have that last year. These I have written down as being patty can squash. Whether they end up being that, I don't know. But we have a bunch of flowers, and there's been plenty of pollinators around, but they haven't produced any veggies yet. This is one of our volunteers that was actually growing out of our compost pile, and I think it is going to end up being one of those ornamental. I thought I saw a squash on here, but maybe I did. So this is like the little ornamental pumpkins. I had different colors. Apparently the ones that survived this year as volunteers are all going to be white. I don't remember them turning color last time. The strawberry bed seems to be making a comeback. I'm getting little ones here and there. I heavily fertilized, still trying to figure out what to keep the squirrels away. The marigold plant that I put here had got neglected. I put it here, and then it just got scorched with the sun. So last couple days, it seems like it might be making a comeback. I've been watering it heavily and put the drip tape or the soaker hose over the top of it. But I do see lots of red berries. I'm going to grab them, see if they've already been chewed on by something else, or whether they will be able to be frozen and put with the other things that I'm going to can. I am excited that they're starting to make a comeback. I thought this year was going to be a wash with them. But, as you can see, looks like something's been chewing on. So something is still getting at these. I don't know what to do about that. I started a bunch of new plants to go in the next month or so last week. So I'm waiting for white bell peppers, some jalapenos to pop through, cayenne peppers. I got one chili pepper that's starting to come up, and more poblano peppers. I got a cantaloupe that's come up, and some more butternut squash and watermelons, new watermelon plants. Now I have some planted out in the lower garden, but I'm not sure what they're going to do. That's my broccoli plant that's waiting for me to take the seeds from it and put it out of its misery. And I'm hoping to get that out today, or at least this weekend. I planted a bunch of Hubbard squash. I got a golden Hubbard and a Swartz Hubbard, and they popped up this week. That's kind of cool. Still waiting for the spaghetti squash to do something. And new bunch of onions that can go in a few weeks. And hopefully I'll have them in when I'm pulling the other ones out. Last week I fertilized my herb garden, my herb pots. They were looking really sad and spotted with their leaves. And so I fertilized them, and I'm waiting for them to come back. And I think some of the new shoots are a little bit darker and less colored on at least some of them, so maybe that'll work. I cut them way back to give them a chance for the new growth. And I really cut down my dill because I did some canning. I made some pickles, both sweet and sour pickles this week. I canned them. I intentionally let these go so that I would have seeds for next year. So I have quite a few of those, so I won't have to buy any dill seeds for next year. This is one of our volunteer plants. This is in a space where we had the chickens and ducks this spring and moved, and apparently we also have the ornamental squash showing up here. When we notice the leaves, the big leaves starting, we're like, well, I don't know what it is, but we'll see what it is and see what grows. And it's gonna be these little squash. We've just been mowing around it for the most part. And some of the leaves look like they're dying back. I don't know if that is a result of the Japanese beetles that I am having issues with. This probably most certainly is, because it's like they make all the leaves lacy. What this is, it might just be getting too wet. I don't know if anybody has any insights in that and wants to go ahead and comment, please do. I'm trying to learn stuff. The sweet potatoes that I grew, the slips that I grew, I put 3 slips in each pot, and they seem to be doing good. I won't know till I dump these pots, and I'm not going to do that till the leaves start to die back. I think that's when I'm supposed to know that they're done. One thing I'm concerned about is I was thinking that the soil has really receded down. I don't know if you can tell. It's like a whole hand width of soil. It was up at the top. And I think maybe I was supposed to continue to add soil as they grew and as the soil sunk down. Because where the soil is not, obviously there's not sweet potatoes growing. And I think for more volume, that should have been full. But I didn't really have a whole lot of dirt to work with, and I was trying really hard not to buy dirt. And our compost wasn't working as fast as we would have liked it to. So we'll see what happens. That was an experiment. We did okay with the slips that we planted in the garden that we bought from a garden company last year. It was okay, but I really want a lot of sweet potatoes this year, so we figured we'd try it there. My rosemary, I can see some new growth, and it's starting to look a little bit darker. The little plant was always doing a little bit better than the big plant. I think we did figure out that this plant, which I thought was maybe weeds, where it was supposed to be basil, ended up to be a bee balm, a lemon bee balm. And I don't remember planting that. I'm finding that a lot of the things that I labeled are something else is coming up, so I don't know what's going on with that. But I think it's useful for something even besides pulling in pollinators. I'm just not sure what. The basil is doing good. I cut that way back last week. And this is going to be seeds at some point. And that's holy basil. I am having no luck with the chamomile that I'm trying to grow. I have reseeded twice already, and if anybody has any tips on how to grow chamomile, that would be cool. When I first video I saw on chamomile, a woman like walked out of her garden shed and just like tossed seeds into this bucket outside that was just gets rain, and she says it's that easy to grow. Well, I'm not finding that to be easy, so I don't know if I got too much light, not enough light, if I'm watering too much. Anybody has insights on growing chamomile, please let me know. It's an important thing that I wanted in my medicine cabinet this year. The strawberry in the green stalk container seems to be doing, I have a couple of strawberries on there, so in one respect I think that it's recovering. This is a good spot for it. On another, you can see the damage that these Japanese beetles are just doing. I've been going through with a bucket of water, hitting like the last 3 nights. There's one of the culprits right there. And I've been putting them in the water and drowning them and then feeding them to the chickens. Chickens like them. I kind of wish that I could just trust my chickens out in the garden to take care of the bugs and not eat all my stuff, but that's obviously not going to work. So the upper garden has been producing really well. I've been picking something pretty much every night. You can see that I got some cukes I need to pick today. I'm hoping, I think my plan is with that, because I'm not going to keep canning pickles more than what we can use and using the jars for that when I really want to use my jars for putting meat from the freezer into it and get them shelf stable. Got lots of cucumbers. I'm hoping, and I need to look into that later on today, I'm hoping that I can flash freeze them and then save them for when the freeze dryer comes, and then I can like make cucumber chips. That would be awesome. When I was been picking off all the Japanese beetles off of the leaves, I suddenly noticed that I actually have some green beans coming. There's some more mature down the other end, and those will be the ones I'll be picking. So lots of cucumbers. Got habanero, got a couple plants that are still doing okay. I got the okra. The okra is doing good. So I ended up with 6, 7, 8, 9 okra. I've got to figure out what to do with those, whether you can freeze those if you can't eat them fresh. Fried okra is awesome. Definitely need to get out here and pick these before they get too big. I said those are a lot bigger than what they were last night. It'd be neat to have like a time lapse out here at night, or during the day, and just see how fast they grow. It's amazing sometimes how fast things grow. So the patty pan squash, I had to pull 2 of the plants out that were down this end because they were just looking really sick. I'm not sure if I'm going to get anything off of. Oh, there's one down there. It's not quite ready. But I'm going to pull these out. And as I've been pulling out plants after they have lost their usefulness, like the cauliflower only gets 1 head, I've been pulling out, feeding that to the chickens, and if there's marigolds right next to them, then pulling them out, also feeding them to the chickens, so that I can create more space to put the new things in that I just started. So my tomatoes have been challenging. There's definitely tomatoes on them. These Romas down here, this type of tomato paste tomatoes, they're growing, but they keep getting these black spots on the bottom, and I haven't quite figured that out yet. And I gotta come through and pull all these leaves out. And when I do, I may just pull the one plant out, because it might just be one plant. No, I see more over there. But I'm really hoping for a really big, see, this is the issue I'm having. It's called blossom rot. I'm just not sure what to do about it. What's causing it? Is it a lack of nutrients? Is it too much foliage? Not erratic watering? I mean, I just don't know. I gotta learn that. Got bell peppers. Quite a few of them actually. And that's very nifty. And they look pretty healthy. And they're a lot bigger than last year's. Last year's were a lot smaller. So I'll be picking those today too. This is the space where probably the onions will be going in, the new onions. My onions have recovered from when I pulled either what I was harvesting or the marigolds out. They've recovered well, and they are getting bigger. So I think the key to having larger size onions is to not crowd them. Just things that I've learned that I wish I had I thought about last year but didn't retain. Here I got some really decent sized onions, almost store size. That's exciting. This is a radish plant that pretty much popped out of the ground, so I don't know if now that it's not in the ground whether these seeds will mature enough that the pods feel kind of squishy, so I'm reluctant to pull them off and pull the seeds out right now. You want the seeds to be dry, and so I'm not sure how that's going to work. I'll just leave it there for now. Got more blueberries to harvest. I've got probably at least 1 cauliflower that I can pick today, and then pull this out, feed it to the chickens. I think the chickens like Saturdays, that's when I spend most of the time feeding them all the greens. Along the fence line, there are, I don't even know how close I want to get in there. I might want to put my boots on. There are black raspberries. Now those are thorns. Those black raspberries have thorns, or black berries have thorns. The ones that we have that are completely in our yard do not. But I think if they're hanging over on my side of the fence, I'm going to pick them and add them to ours to make some type of jam or jelly. This is the area that I had pulled all the broccoli out of, and then I need to get ready for sweet potatoes, which I need to put in within the next week. Today would be preferable, but just not sure that's going to happen today. Butternut squash is doing good. Not sure how I know when they're ready to harvest, whether the leaves die back or not, but they're all getting bigger in size. It's exciting because this is one of my favorite squashes. Now this probably goes down as things that are more than likely going to fail. I keep finding flowers on these. These are supposed to be pumpkins that I started from seed. I didn't know where else to do with them, so I just put them in our first mulch pile that we started when we got here. They keep developing flowers and then nothing happens. So I don't know if anything is going to come from that or not. The new pumpkin starts that I got going, I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put them, but hopefully in the garden. And one of the problems down here is just a lot of times when we're watering, we don't think to bring the hose down here and water. Rick mentioned this morning that he thinks that we may actually have 2 male ducks. I was hoping for 1 female because I wanted to see if I would be allergic to the duck eggs, as I do have an allergy to eggs. Well, I mean, I'm going to be eating our chicken eggs to see if my allergy is derived from like some major pasteurization process from the stuff you buy from the stores, or whatever it is they do with eggs before they get them on the shelves. I'll be testing it to see if by like free ranging or organic feeding non-processed eggs, whether those would have the same effect. You got anything else to say? They complain a lot. This water is disgusting. You change this water and 20 minutes later it looks exactly the same. You can almost read their minds as I approach them. They're wanting to know why I'm not holding something to feed them. They already got their scratch and some leftovers I threw out there this morning and they cleaned up. But usually when they see me walk down the hill, it's because I have other things to feed them. In due time, in due time. Today, Rick is going to start working on the nesting boxes because they're probably going to start laying eggs relatively soon. And his thought, what he wants to do, is to have the nesting boxes on this side of the barn right here. And he plans on doing, I think, 8 of them. And that'll make it easy for getting the eggs. We can just, I guess this is what I'm thinking. He's thinking we'll pull down a door and then collect the eggs and move on down the line and not really disturb the birds and not have to go into the coop to get them. But that's what his plan is for today, and maybe picking some of his potatoes, harvesting some of the potatoes of the first line that he planted a few weeks ago. So down here at the lower garden, the tomatoes seem to be doing well. I haven't seen any of the sickness that I've seen in the upper garden on them. So hopefully they'll produce. This row here, I don't know if I mentioned it in the last video or not. These are all from, I didn't grow these from seeds. These are from the suckers that we pulled off of the plants. So the bottom limbs that were too low to the ground, we pulled out and created another row, which is kind of neat because they all took. Now we need to get in here before they get too big and start getting knocked over, and put up more fencing for stability. My trellis for the green beans is doing what it's supposed to be doing, and there's flowers on them. I have yet to see any beans, but I think that'll be soon. Here's a disappointment. This is supposed to be my loofah plant, and my loofah plant isn't making it. Now I planted 4, or I started 4, and only 1 made it to get into the ground, and I don't think it's gonna make it. So I'm gonna try again. I have more loofah seeds. I can't try again this season as they take like over 200 days to mature, and even down here that's just not enough time. So I'm gonna try and between now and next spring figure out what I did wrong, what I can do better to maybe have better results. I was looking forward to that. Was like going to be a fun experiment. And Brussels sprouts, they're just kind of like hanging in, not really doing anything. This tomato plant was a volunteer, not sure what kind it is. There's a couple up in the upper garden too, and I'm thinking those are going to be cherry tomatoes. So the potatoes that Rick planted last week in here are starting to pop up. Some of them are starting to pop up. So that's pretty neat. But he's thinking about digging up these today, and we'll see what happens with those. He did pull a couple up earlier this week and only got like 2 very small potatoes. So he was working on being disappointed about that. We'll see what happens. Mint is still thriving in my wheelbarrow. This is the black-eyed peas. Yeah, cowpeas, black-eyed peas. And they are starting to train. I would have done better to put them on the other side of the fence, whereas the sun is coming from back this way, and then they would have followed up that way for training onto the fence, but I didn't feel like digging up all that grass on the other side. But they're doing okay. That's exciting. A lot of the things that I had labeled have turned out to be mislabeled. Now, I have this down as a cantaloupe. I don't know whether it's going to be cantaloupe or not, but there's some flowers on it, so that's exciting. This here I had down as a butternut squash, and I'm pretty sure that this is a watermelon climbing up, and I actually have several of them that have the same type leaf structure, so I'm guessing that those are also watermelons, and I'm hoping they do something. It would be neat to grow watermelon. We got this system all set up for the drip tape, and that gets from our rain barrels. And when our rain barrels get empty, we can fill it from the spring back there. So that's pretty much what we got going for today. This is today's harvest. Lots of blueberries, and the green beans have started. Pretty good berry pick. A couple heads of cauliflower, 4 peppers, and tons of more cucumbers that I have to figure out whether I can freeze them for freeze drying later or whether I'm going to end up pickling them. I did a whole bunch of pickles last year. We still haven't gone through all of them, so I really hate putting more in jars. I want to figure out something else to do with them. If anybody has any ideas, drop them in the comments. Now that the fruits and veggies are harvested, I had to get in here and do some serious weeding. It was getting challenging to find the green beans amongst all the leaves and the weeds between the actual bean leaves, as well as the cucumber, and then just the weeds that will not stop. They're relentless. Another thing that's relentless is the Japanese beetles and what they're doing to all my leaves. It's annoying. Usually the best time for me to try and get them off, and I've just been putting them in a bucket. I don't even know what that is. Been putting them in a bucket of water and then feeding them to the chickens. Usually it's in the evening, around 5-6 o'clock at night. So I got my bucket with me for my weeding, also so that I can capture some and feed the chickens out as well as I go along. It's 84 degrees out, and it's not supposed to get hotter than 88 today. I decided I need to take a breather. Just fed the chickens their first round of baskets of greens. It's been one of those days. It's been a very long day, but it's a day that's gone by very fast at the same time, which makes it frustrating when you have so much to do. I think it's time to check in with Rick. Hey, buddy.
Hi.
What are you doing under there?
My batteries are running low.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And you're a little tired too, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm down to one battery and that one's dying.
So we're gonna end up having to put the not the sheetrock, the plywood, huh?
Probably.
Yeah. But the boxes look good. You think 20-something birds can share 6 boxes? I was, some of the videos I've watched said that they don't, doesn't matter how many boxes they have, they tend to use the same 2.
Yeah, like 2 or 3.
Yeah. Rick, you want to say goodnight?
Good night.
So that's all we got for today, Saturday. We'll be able to work a little bit tomorrow afternoon, and we'll just keep puttering along. Hope you guys all had a great weekend. Thanks for joining us. Be a blessing and be blessed.